Have you ever stopped and asked yourself who you truly are, not the version everyone sees, but the real you, the one hidden beneath habits, fears, and old stories you tell yourself? Life has a way of shaping us, molding us into roles we never consciously chose, trapping us in routine that don't serve us, and convincing us that change is something for other people, not for us. Yet deep inside, there is a voice whispering, I can be more. I can do more. I can live differently. That voice is your potential calling. And rebuilding yourself begins the moment you decide to listen. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and seeing not only your reflection, but the possibilities that lie beyond it, the strength that has been waiting quietly for you to awaken it, the courage that grows every time you take one small step toward change. The journey of rebuilding is not reserved for the extraordinary. It is available to anyone willing to face themselves, embrace discomfort, and take responsibility for their own life. Today, we are going to explore what it takes to tear down the barriers, release the doubts, and step into a version of yourself you may have only dreamed of, a version built stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than ever before. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of any meaningful transformation. Before you can rebuild yourself, you must first look honestly at who you are, what drives you, and what holds you back. Many people spend years reacting to life, caught in patterns of behavior that limit their potential, without ever pausing to examine the choices they make or the thoughts they harbor. Becoming self-aware means shining a light on these patterns, understanding the impact of your habits, and observing your emotions without judgment. It is not enough to know that change is necessary. You must understand the specific areas in which change is required. Self-awareness calls for honesty, even when it is uncomfortable. It requires recognizing the weaknesses you have ignored, the excuses you have told yourself, and the moments when fear has dictated your decisions. At the same time, it also means identifying the strengths that can be leveraged, the skills that have been nurtured, and the character traits that can serve as pillars for growth. It is a balance between confronting limitations and acknowledging potential. Self-awareness is also about observing how you respond to the world around you. How do you handle setbacks? What triggers negative emotions, and how do you cope with them? By tracking your reactions, you gain insight into the inner mechanisms that shape your life. Journaling, reflection, and honest conversations with trusted friends or mentors can provide clarity, but self-awareness ultimately comes from within. It is a willingness to stop blaming external circumstances and instead take responsibility for your own growth. Many people avoid this step because it requires courage. It is easier to remain distracted or to justify your current state than to face the truth of who you are. Yet, without this understanding, any attempt to rebuild will be like constructing a house on sand, unstable and likely to collapse under pressure. Self-awareness is not a one-time realization, but an ongoing practice. As you grow, new habits and experiences will reveal new blind spots and hidden strengths. The process is continuous, and each layer of insight deepens your ability to make intentional decisions about who you want to become. By truly knowing yourself, you gain the map needed to navigate your journey. You learn which areas demand change, which behaviors must be strengthened, and how to align your actions with your ultimate vision. In short, self-awareness equips you with the clarity and understanding to rebuild with purpose rather than wander aimlessly, making it the essential first step in the process of personal transformation. Embracing change is one of the most powerful steps in rebuilding yourself, yet it is often the one most feared. Human nature resists the unknown, clings to comfort, and prefers familiar routines even when they no longer serve growth. But transformation never comes from staying the same. Every moment of discomfort, every challenge, and every unexpected twist is an opportunity to evolve. When you begin to see change not as a threat, but as a chance to improve, you shift your mindset from one of fear to one of possibility. Life will inevitably push you into situations you cannot control, and resisting these moments only prolongs struggle. Those who succeed are not those who avoid difficulties, but those who lean into them, who understand that each obstacle carries a lesson, And each disruption is a doorway to a new version of themselves, which often comes wrapped in difficulty, disappointment, or failure, and it is here that your perspective makes the difference. By embracing change, you stop seeing setbacks as permanent roadblocks and start seeing them as signals guiding you to the areas that need adjustment. It allows you to experiment, to try new approaches, and to step outside the limitations of your current comfort zone. To rebuild yourself, you must be willing to let go of outdated habits, beliefs, and ways of thinking that no longer serve your growth. Clinging to the old ways may feel safe, but it keeps you trapped in patterns that prevent progress. Embracing change requires courage because it demands vulnerability and a willingness to fail temporarily while striving for long-term growth. It also requires patience because transformation rarely happens overnight. It is a gradual process that unfolds as you consistently make choices aligned with improvement. By seeing change as an opportunity rather than a disruption, you gain freedom. You begin to understand that life is not about maintaining what is comfortable, but about pursuing what is meaningful. Each change you accept teaches resilience, flexibility, and creativity, equipping you with the skills needed to rebuild stronger, wiser, and more capable. When you embrace change, you step into an active role in shaping your future, taking ownership of your development rather than waiting for circumstances to dictate your path. It is through this mindset that you begin to transform challenges into stepping stones, setbacks into lessons, and uncertainty into a platform for growth, allowing the process of rebuilding to become a journey of empowerment and discovery rather than fear or hesitation. Letting go of limiting beliefs is one of the most essential steps in rebuilding yourself, yet it is often the most overlooked. Limiting beliefs are invisible chains that hold you back, quietly dictating what you think you can and cannot do. They are formed over years of experiences, conditioning, and sometimes even from the opinions of others. And they live in your mind long after the original reason for their existence has faded. These beliefs whisper doubts in your ear, convince you that certain goals are impossible, and keep you settling for less than your potential. To rebuild yourself, you must first become aware of these internal barriers and recognize the ways they have shaped your choices. It requires courage to question beliefs that feel familiar because they often masquerade as truth. You may have grown comfortable thinking, I'm not capable, I'm not deserving, or I'm too late to change. But these thoughts are not reflections of reality. They are reflections of fear, habit, and habit alone. Once identified, these beliefs must be challenged. You begin by asking yourself whether these thoughts are supported by evidence, or whether they are assumptions you've accepted without scrutiny. You replace self-doubt with self-inquiry, and you start experimenting with action that contradicts the limiting belief. Each time you act against a limiting thought, you weaken its power and strengthen your confidence. This is a process, and it requires persistence, because the mind is trained to revert to old patterns. The more you practice replacing negative narratives with empowering truths, the more natural it becomes to think in terms of possibility rather than restriction. Surrounding yourself with examples of success, mentors, and affirmations can accelerate this process because they provide proof that your mind's limitations are often illusions. Letting go of limiting beliefs also opens your mind to creativity, opportunity, and new solutions. When you stop defining yourself by past failures, fears, or external expectations, you create mental space to imagine and pursue what once seemed unreachable. It allows you to rebuild not only your actions and habits, but also your identity and self-image. The freedom that comes from shedding these mental barriers is transformative because it shifts your perspective from one of scarcity and fear to one of abundance and courage, allowing you to approach your goals with clarity, determination, and the unwavering belief that your potential is only bounded by the limits you choose to leave in place. Commitment to consistent action is the engine that drives personal transformation, and without it, rebuilding yourself remains a dream rather than a reality. Many people understand what they need to change, identify the habits they want to adopt, and even make inspiring plans, but knowledge and intention alone are not enough. Transformation is not a single event. It is a process built on repeated, purposeful steps taken over time. Small actions, when performed consistently, accumulate into massive results, yet the challenge lies in maintaining momentum, especially when immediate rewards are not visible. Discipline bridges the gap between intention and achievement. And it is through daily practice that you create the structure needed to support lasting change. The process of rebuilding yourself demands patience and resilience because growth is rarely linear. There will be days when motivation wanes, when distractions tempt you to revert to old habits, and when progress feels imperceptible. Consistent action is what keeps you moving forward despite these fluctuations, turning effort into habit and habit into results. It is important to recognize that action does not have to be dramatic or overwhelming. Even small, focused steps taken regularly can create profound transformation. Reading a page a day, dedicating a few minutes to reflection, practicing a skill bit by bit, these incremental actions, repeated faithfully, compound over weeks, months, and years, reshaping your abilities, mindset, and character. Committing to action also involves accountability, both to yourself and, if possible, to those who support your growth. Without follow-through, insight and planning are wasted energy. But when action becomes non-negotiable, you develop the confidence that comes from knowing you are building progress consistently. This approach also changes your relationship with failure. When action is steady and ongoing, setbacks are no longer catastrophic. They are merely temporary obstacles that can be learned from and overcome. Over time, consistency transforms challenges into opportunities to refine your strategy and strengthen your resolve. Rebuilding yourself is not about perfection in each moment, but about dedication to showing up and doing the work day after day. By embedding consistent action into your life, you create momentum, develop mastery, and establish the framework upon which all other elements of growth, discipline, focus, and resilience can flourish, ensuring that your efforts are cumulative rather than fleeting and that the person you become is the direct result of the actions you commit to repeatedly over time. The people and environment you surround yourself with play a more powerful role in your growth than most realize. And if you aim to rebuild yourself, choosing these influences wisely is essential. Human beings are naturally shaped by their surroundings. The habits, attitudes, and energy of those around you gradually seep into your own behavior. If you spend your time in negative or stagnant environments absorbing doubt, pessimism, or complacency, your potential is limited before you even try. Conversely, when you intentionally place yourself among those who inspire, challenge, and uplift you, you create fertile ground for transformation. Surrounding yourself with positive influences is not about superficial company or occasional motivation, is about immersion in an ecosystem that reinforces your goals and encourages your best self. This includes mentors who have walked the path you aspire to, peers who share your ambition, and content that elevates your thinking. Mentors provide guidance, perspective, and accountability, showing what is possible and helping you navigate obstacles that may have seemed insurmountable alone. Peers who are committed to growth model the daily habits and mindset shifts that lead to success, reminding you that your ambitions are achievable through effort and consistency. The energy of the environment is equally important. A space cluttered with distraction, negativity, or stagnation can subtly drain your motivation, while a space that inspires focus, learning, and action can amplify it. This principle applies not only to people, but also to media, information, and routines. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, and the conversations you engage in daily all shape your mindset and influence your decisions. By curating these influences deliberately, you reinforce a cycle of growth, confidence, and constructive thinking that supports the process of rebuilding yourself. Choosing positive influences also strengthens resilience because you are not trying to change in isolation. You are surrounded by proof, encouragement, and guidance. It becomes easier to adopt new habits, let go of limiting beliefs, and take consistent action when the voices you hear and the energies you absorb support the version of yourself you want to become. Ultimately, rebuilding yourself is not just an internal process. It is a process shaped and accelerated by the people, spaces, and ideas you allow into your life And by aligning yourself with positive forces, you construct an environment where your transformation is not only possible, but inevitable. Celebrating progress rather than perfection is one of the most overlooked yet vital aspects of rebuilding yourself, because too often people become discouraged by the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Human nature tends to fixate on what is missing, what is wrong, or what remains unachieved, and this mindset can erode motivation, even when genuine effort is being made. The truth is that transformation is a journey composed of small, consistent steps, and each step deserves recognition. Progress, no matter how incremental, is evidence that you are moving forward, and that the work you are putting in is creating change. By celebrating progress, you shift your focus from the unattainable ideal to the tangible achievements you have already made, reinforcing positive behavior and building momentum. Recognizing small wins also strengthens your confidence because it provides proof that change is possible and that your efforts are not wasted. It reminds you that mastery and growth are cumulative, not instantaneous, and that each choice to improve, each moment of discipline, and each act of courage contributes to the larger transformation. When you emphasize progress over perfection, setbacks and mistakes lose their power to demoralize you because they are understood as natural parts of the learning process rather than failures that define you. This mindset encourages resilience, patience, and a willingness to experiment because you are less afraid of making errors and more focused on learning from them. Celebrating progress also allows you to cultivate gratitude for your journey and to develop a deeper appreciation for your own effort, which nurtures intrinsic motivation. It helps you see that transformation is not just about achieving external goals, but about evolving your habits, mindset, and character over time. By acknowledging the steps you have taken, you reinforce the habits that lead to success and create a positive feedback loop that propels you forward. This approach fosters sustainable growth because motivation rooted in progress is more enduring than motivation rooted in comparison or unrealistic expectations. As you rebuild yourself, measuring success by the distance you have traveled, rather than by an unreachable standard, ensures that you maintain momentum, remain inspired, and continue to take consistent action, recognizing that each moment of effort is a building block. Every decision to improve is a step forward, and each small achievement is a victory worth honoring, creating a cycle of reinforcement that supports lasting personal transformation. As we reach the end of this journey together, remember that rebuilding yourself is not a single act or a fleeting moment. It is a lifelong commitment to growth, courage, and relentless pursuit of your potential. Every habit you change, every limiting belief you release, every small step you take toward your goals is a brick in the foundation of the person you are becoming. The power to transform your life does not lie in luck or circumstance. It lies within your choices, your consistency, and your willingness to embrace discomfort in pursuit of greatness. As you walk away from here today, carry with you the knowledge that no matter where you have been, no matter what obstacles you face, you have the ability to rebuild, reinvent, and rise stronger than before. Take these lessons, put them into practice, and watch your life shift in ways you never imagined. The journey will challenge you, it will test you, but it will also reward you beyond measure, because the person who shows up every day to rebuild themselves is the person who ultimately wins in life. Good luck on your journey. Believe in yourself, take action, and keep moving forward. Thank you for listening, and thank you for choosing to step into your power.